Okay, y'all, welcome. Welcome to Coffee with Clients this morning. I love, love, love these calls. They absolutely changed my life. When I first started playing, we did not have client support calls. We had sort of corporate support calls, and we did have some podcasts that I would listen to. But we started these calls during COVID because we feel like, everybody's kind of figuring out what to do, and they really are huge game changers. So if you have a friend doing plan with you, or your coach, or you're a coach and you have clients, shoot them a message and ask them to get on. I think it's a great way to focus for the weekend, and hopefully you'll hear something that resonates. If we're listening for that, I think we find it. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about me in just a minute, but I'd love for y'all to put in the chat, if you're in fat burn, like put fat burn in there, FB, whatever. I love hearing that because that is really exciting. I know I have a couple of clients that started on Monday, and y'all getting those texts that like I'm on fire. I'm feeling like cleaning my whole house. I wish I was outside working in the yard. It's a game changer. So I'd love to see who is in fat burn and feeling good. And if you're not, that's okay too. We'll talk through that. And you want to be, we'll talk through that and give y'all a chance to answer questions. Ask questions and answer those. So, okay, I'll just tell you just a little bit about me. I really actually hate talking about me, but lately I've been thinking about some things that, I've learned along the way, since I've been doing this plan and kind of life things. So I do want to share a few of those things because I think it might resonate with some of you, um, and, will help you as you're thinking through where you want to go with this. So my name is Elizabeth Moore, and I live in Huntsville, Alabama. I have a 22-year-old daughter and a 19-year-old daughter. So I started Plan in 2018. Um, and
He said he
it
almost called
was
in sick. I
late
think you should have.
September. It was late September when I started, right before we were going on. There he is, trying to mute him, but we may just have to kick him out for right now. It doesn't seem to be muting him. Sorry.
It's not letting
Um,
me mute.
I know, I'll just remove him. For now, not to be ugly, but anyway, I don't think we can do anything else about it. Okay. So, okay, so anyway, so I started in late September, right? A couple weeks before I was going on fall break, um, with my family. And my girls were not driving then. I mean, life was a little bit chaotic. I'll tell you about that. But anyway, so I did that, started playing, felt really good, got into fat burn like a lot of y'all, and was like, whoa, this is like really different. Like this is crazy. And I distinctly remember like the second week of being on plan and cutting up some lemon squares that my husband is a baker. He doesn't bake quite as much anymore. But anyway, I was like cutting up those lemon squares. And in the past, y'all, like I broke a few, intentionally. So I could, just try them out and eat one. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm cutting these things up and I'm not even craving this, which was very strange. I don't know if y'all have experienced that. Raise your hand if you've like said, I don't even care that I'm not eating chocolate. Like that's a big deal. Yes. Oh, I love it. I just saw Charla. Yes, great. It's so exciting. So I hope y'all noticed that because maybe you weren't aware enough about cravings to like notice it, but I was like, holy moly. So I called one of my friends. I was like, listen, you need to sign yourself up. She was one of those friends that I went to Weight Watchers with and did all the things. And I was like, this is nuts, like literally nuts that I am not craving this. And I'm not even taking any medicine. I'm not doing anything. This is wild. So told her to call my coach, sign up, and she did that. And we had a lot of fun doing it together. So I say that to say, if you're feeling like that, think of somebody and call them up and say, let's do this together because your coach loves referrals. We love talking about you coaching. We can talk about that later, but it's really nice to let people know what you're doing, because they just don't know how good they can feel. And so noticing those things are going to be game changers for you. So the other thing I will say, is, and we'll get into some of this, but I go back to other things that I had done before to try to lose weight. I was on my first diet when I was 5. I had the parents that I think were worried that their child, you know, like what people think of people if they're overweight. And so I'm not faulting them. Listen, if you've got that issue, I've got a great podcast you can listen to that will help you kind of sort through. You know, they were doing the best they could. And I did really like Oreos, like I really did. I remember standing in the pantry and wanting to eat some. So anyway, but you know, again, people didn't know things back then. I'm 55, so it was a long time ago. So I didn't know really what a diet was. It was a little scary. I remember like you're supposed to eat dry toast. I don't know if y'all ever did dry toast. It's very boring. Some things like that. So that was it. You know, that was sort of where it started. I don't really think I was on another diet until probably high school. I would see a friend's mother, usually it was somebody's mother, that was going somewhere and was like at the diet center. Went there. Now, if y'all did that one, but you had a lot of wassa and you had some barbecue sauce with canned chicken. It was exciting. But anyway, I'd go there and then I had a nutritionist that was actually come to find out a fake nutritionist, but at the time, that's what he said he was. Well, and a doctor. So I, you know, did that. So I was always kind of on this, but not with huge weight to lose back then. I also was a smoker. I think that probably, you know, whatever, tamp down some of those hunger things. I don't know if y'all did that, but as you know, I look back and I think it's important to do this, to look back and say, like, what was going on in life, you know, when these things were happening. And so, as you know, I had my children, life got busier. I practiced law, I was practicing law, had, you know, trials. My daughter, my oldest one, started kindergarten in the middle of one of a trial that I had. And I can remember dropping her off, wanting to come back and really hear about it, but I had prep to do, you know, so it's all these things that build up and life got more busy and more hectic. And I would gain weight and lose a little bit, but then I would just keep gaining. And so at one point I did a plan through the hospital that you just drank shakes. Like that's all you did. Couldn't eat anything. And so I remember distinctly going to New Orleans with my family and watching them eat at restaurants. And it was really mortifying. You know, like this was a little embarrassing to sit there and watch them. So lost some weight there. Um, and felt better, but still like didn't learn these habits that we're learning now. You know, like the eating more often and feeling good and actually getting to live your life. Like that's what this is about, is living your life. So I was gaining weight at the time before I started Optavia. I was on the upswing and life was really crazy at that point. I had, you know, a daughter that had some learning differences and navigating school and all the things there. I was still practicing law. And at this point, I had part-time, which really meant that I was like had less time because I was working till 3 o'clock to pick up kids and running them around and doing all that. My dad was dying of a neurological disease. I was trying to help them. You know, life was in that, I would call it the snow globe, like your head is just shaking up, you're running in every different direction. And so when I found Optavia, I was like, this is different. And having these meetings and having those client support pages, y'all, those things are a gift. You know, read what's going on in there. And I could see other people doing the same thing as me. And I was like, whoa. I will never forget the first time I saw somebody come back from Disney World and they had lost weight or stayed on plan. And I was like, what? I did not know that was even a possibility that you did something like that. So y'all pay attention to these things because all this is helping fill your brain with the things that are going to tell you you can do this and that it is a sense of empowerment that you have now got the tools. You're feeling better. So that's what I want to start with is like, if you're feeling better, you've been in fat burn, you know you can feel better. So that's huge because then you don't go down some of these rabbit holes of, gosh, you know, my body's just failing me. You know, these are all things that I thought at times and went to different doctors and different healthcare providers and people looking for that one thing. My husband actually asked me this morning, now, have y'all debunked that thyroid's an issue? And I said, no, people just still have thyroid issues, but they don't just take a pill and it's going to solve everything that's going on for them. You know, like they may need this nutritional support. And so that's it, is that you obviously, you know, be seeing your healthcare providers for anything that's going on. But for me, and let me just say that while we're here, I am not a doctor, I am not a nurse, I am not a therapist, I'm not a psychiatrist. I just have looked at some of this stuff that was going on in my life and the thought patterns I was having to say like, oh, maybe somebody's going to give me this one thing that is going to change everything. Optavia is it. Like it is the thing to help you feel better. That then you can keep. Okay, somebody keeps unmuting. Anyway, but it helps you feel better so you can sort out these other things. So it is, and now in 6.5, going on 7 years of this, there has been a lot of life and a lot of things that have come up and some health things that now I know if I don't feel very well, there's something going on. So I'll pursue that. But but I also am always thinking to myself, but really, how's my nutrition doing? How are some of these other habits going? Have I been outside and walked? Have I done some of these other things that make me feel better? It's that sense of I am in charge. It's me. I mean, it is me. It's that Taylor Swift song. It's me. But there are times in this process that when you feel really good and something comes up and you want to go eat Reese's cups. So this is the example I give everybody is during the pandemic when I wanted to drive over to Walgreens and buy Reese's cups, it was like the first time that I sort of woke up and was like, wonder what is going on in my life that would make me want to go eat Reese's cup when I feel this good. Because really, the Reese's cups aren't that great. And so I started unpacking that a little bit to say, gosh, it was every time the schedule changed, school canceled, this happened, all these different changes. And I was like, apparently I like some structure. Apparently I do not like to have to redo all these appointments that I've done because now we've changed. I'm going to need to go pick somebody up at a different time or, whatever was going on. So use this feeling good, fat burn to start sorting out some of that. Sometimes it was like I needed to ask for help. I felt all this pressure and I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to do all these things. And I was like, no, no, no. I need to slow down, either get rid of something that's not serving me, ask my husband for help, ask the kids for help, things that I had not learned in my 50 years. And so maybe some of y'all are like that too. Like you just did things yourself. You don't like asking for help. You don't want to bother your coach. These are all places that I noticed along the way that I just tried to figure things out myself. And sometimes most times it helped to say it out loud to someone, your coach, the Facebook groups, wherever you are, to help sort it out because there's always a way to figure it out. But if you're spinning it in your head by yourself over and over and over, then you're not moving forward. And so oh goodness. Anyway, so we may have to take her out if it can't, it keeps going off. But anyway, so I just say all that because after this many years, I can pretty much call myself out on some things, like I did. I did have, I don't know why that is. She keeps coming off. But anyway, I did, like I definitely, like I look at my really worst before pictures, and it was probably about 10 years ago or so. And I definitely was going through perimenopause. And of course, nobody talked about that and nobody bothered to let me in on I might need to do something about that or whatever. So as I've learned some things, I have gone to a doctor to see about that because I do think that's important for brain health, for other things. Again, I'm not a doctor. This is all stuff that I have learned. But I'm really glad I can catch myself in some stuff now because they'll tell you that's going to solve all your problems. No, ma'am, it does not. It is going to help you with long-term health, but it is not going to make you less hungry, regulate all your blood sugar where you can eat whatever you want. It's not doing any of those things. So I call myself out on it like, okay, yeah, it was a little bit of a hurdle when I started taking those to say, gosh, I'm a little hungrier. So now what am I going to do? But I know myself pretty well now. And so I can call myself out. I'm not perfect at it at all, but I'm able to know it's something that I need to deal with, and so I ask for help. I talk through it with someone. I call myself out on it. I reset, whatever it takes. Y'all are here, and this is the place for you. Like it's long term. Not to say you have to eat a fueling every day of your life for the rest of your life, but I personally don't understand why anyone wouldn't want to keep some snacks like that around because in this world we are living in, it is a lot easier to have some of those in between things, even when you get to your goal. So I want to back up to say too that I ended up losing 90 pounds. I didn't know at the time that that was possible or that I had 90 pounds really to lose. But when you feel good and you're learning this process, you're like, why not go for what you want? And so I would encourage y'all all to do that too. Okay, so that was very long-winded, and I didn't really mean to go that long, but I just want y'all to know that you're in the right place. I mean, I love talking through with y'all what you have going on. I know this is a big holiday weekend for a lot of people, which I think also brings up a lot of, what my coach Kristen hates the word trigger. And so whatever you want to call it, it's one of those signposts that maybe indicates that there's something going on, that like if you're dreading going wherever you're going, if you're going there and this food means a lot because you've always done a certain thing. So anyway, my point is this weekend can bring up a lot of things for people when you are facing it, maybe for the first time, if you are newer to plan. So anyway, I want to talk through any of those things with y'all that you are concerned about, like what am I going to do there? Just how to navigate it, saying it out loud and looking for a way to be successful. So we're always looking for a way to be successful, not like all just telling me all the reasons like it's not going to work, because it will. I promise you, I'm real hard-headed. And so I can help you like find that. But I want y'all to become hard-headed too when it comes to fighting for your health and going forward, and saying like there's a way. I just haven't thought of it yet. So I'm going to articulate it and we can get there. I am like really the least judgmental person in the world. So like, don't hesitate to just say what is going on, and then let's talk through it. And anyway, but in the meantime, be putting some celebrations in the chat. I love seeing that. I also love seeing how long you've been on plan, how much you've lost, any non-scale victories, because I'm obsessed with those. I mean, that energy is what I'm really obsessed with. How cool to feel like you actually can get things accomplished. Okay, so yes, y'all raise your little Zoom hand. It's down there. Also, I will say this is for clients, and I know coaches are clients too, but if you're going to ask a question, just ask it from the client standpoint. I also say don't ask questions for your clients if you're a coach, because we're empowering everyone they can raise their Zoom hand and ask the question themselves. It's all part of the process of empowerment. Feeling like you can do something and you do something a little scary, because I don't think I would have raised my Zoom hand back in the day. So I'm always impressed when people do, because it's a big deal. Okay, so that was long too. So yes, raise your little Zoom hand, ask questions, and I'd love to hear from y'all. Yes, and I will stop recording. Thank you for reminding me.
Liz